Hey there, I'm Mr. Terry, high school history teacher. Let's check out some history memes. All right, this compilation is from Vaazkl. I'll put the link down below if you want to check those out first and then see how I react to them. But you know, what we're going to try to do is try to explain the history behind them, laugh at them, and let's have some fun together. All right, here we go. Oh, I can already tell we got a Diogenes thing going on here. Yes.
The ideal male body. You may not like it, but this is what peak performance looks like. I wonder what the proportion is of people who reblog this because they get the reference to the ancient Greek philosophy versus people who reblog it because it looks a lot like your standard
Okay, so look at
post. Behold, a meme.
Okay, so behold a human. This was a cynical philosopher named Diogenes, and he was speaking in response to this idea that a person is a featherless biped. That's what a human is, right? And I guess it kind of lessens, the special nature, that humans did. So this guy Diogenes pulled the feathers off of a chicken and said, look, a human. Supposed to be a mockery of it all.
The recent droughts in Europe once again made visible the hunger stones in some Czech and German rivers. These stones were used to mark desperately low river levels that would forecast famines. This one is from 1616 and says, if you see me, cry. I guess
Does it really say that? That's awesome. It's like, we're effed.
It's that time of the climate emergency when the 400-year-old hunger stones appear. Wikimedia.
Oh,
Category.
geez.
Images that look like memes, but are serious Wikipedia illustrations. Haha. Wall. Typical wall. Bet there are deer on the other side of this wall. He muttered angrily. Typical wall. Charles Darwin ate every animal he discovered. I get that means he tried these food, but I'm imagining naked Charles Darwin running through the Galapagos, stuffing animals into his mouth.
Is that true? I had never heard of that. So when he was out in that the SS Beagle, right? He's going around, and yeah, the Galapagos. So like the turtles and all the other life, what he saw there was a lot of life that's just not seen in other parts of the world. So kind of helped inspire him to think about speciation through natural selection and all the Darwin stuff. So, but yeah, just stuffed with the stuff.
Stop excavating.
Stuff. Is that
there
true?
There was nothing left to be dug up. Ceramic sculpture of early skateboarding dog, Mexico, AD. One of my friends just
you know what's interesting about these wheeled vehicles too is they didn't have
ceramic sculpture.
They didn't have wheeled vehicles then, and the big reason was there were no animals to pull them, and the geography also wasn't very well suited for it. But yeah, you did see little wheeled toys.
Of early skateboarding dog, Mexico, AD. One of my friends just described Calhoun as a crusty mop you would find in the janitor's closet in a school from 1907. Would you agree? Literally, what is the difference? Absolutely superb. Beastie spotted on Etruscan food jar. The gobbler. Teenagers nowadays.
Wait, what?
Beastie spotted on
Etruscan gobbler. Okay, so by the way, the Etruscans are kind of seen as like the indigenous peoples of Rome at the time before the Romans, as we know them, were there on the Italian peninsula, and they get the boot.
On Etruscan food jar, the gobbler. Teenagers
6th century
nowadays.
BC, right?
The world is a cruel, and then just minutes later. OMG, we need to restore the Roman Empire. Stupid Indian with your backward beliefs. We British are way more civilized than you.
Right,
anyway,
what's
time to burn some witches.
Yep, there you go. Witchcraft. You're a woman. Are you educated? No. Die.
People call on the science side of Tumblr because generally scientists are eager little nerds willing to help others. People don't call on the history side of Tumblr because all historians are, without fail, sarcastic, angry idiots looking to start a fight.
It's true. If you want help, you're not going to get it from history YouTube. Not history YouTube. No, history like social media. Nope. Sorry. They want to hide and post anonymously and not be held, feet to fire for, any of their beliefs. But yeah, scientists are like, yeah, let's do this. Let's go. We need to, history buffs, history fans. We gotta be more like scientists.
So are we just going to ignore the fact that Lewis and the vintage moon look like each other? If you
see, the French did all that stuff though. This is how in early movies they would give the moon faces and stuff, and so much of it was French, so it kind of made sense to make it, I guess, Louis, even though he was dead by then.
If you don't think history is amusing, then you're wrong, because one time 3 different guys declared themselves Pope all at once, and they all excommunicated each other, and it was basically the funniest thing ever. What about the time the Liechtenstein army sent 80 men to Italy to fight and came back with 81? What about the time that the Prussian emperor kidnapped 2 people because he really wanted his armies to be tool?
See, that's just also like just human engineering of super soldiers. That's just what you do, right? And then you breed the tall ones, and then eventually, over generations, you have a giant army. I think that's super awesome.
This Tumblr post deserves to be put in history textbooks. Nostalgia, 2016, plague. Hope this explains it. Why did paintings of people centuries ago never show pimples? You're telling me these people who drank poop water and took baths 2 times a decade had clear skin?
That's right. Here's why. If you're getting a painting made of you, you probably have money and you're paying for it. And the artist is going to make you look good. No artist is going to make you look what you really look like. That's why when we talk about in my lessons about ancient Greek, Roman art, statues, things like that, why everyone looks so good. It's like, that's not because that's how people looked. It was supposed to be optimistic looking without being too unrealistic.
They had this amazing filter called I'm the one paying you.
Literally, there we go. Survive a Blyso over on, what is this? Is this like Twitter? You got it. You nailed it.
Gentle reminder that Cleopatra's beauty is rumored to have started wars in ancient history. Gentle reminder that people are evolving to be more and more attractive.
True.
Gentle reminder that your beauty probably would have started at least 2 wars by now if you lived in 30 BC. Would you like a run?
It's true. The further you go back, the uglier people are going to be by modern standards, for sure. It's just evolution. Good-looking people hook up with other good-looking people, and they procreate. They have more opportunities for procreation. So it's like, it's science. It's probably with Cleopatra much more about, well, she's the emperor of a place that the Romans wanted. So people wanted to have her on their side.
Would you like a random history fact? Definitely. Huskar declared war on Denmark in 1809, but everyone forgot until a historian found the declaration of war in 1981. Wait, why is that such a mood? In the 19th century, physicians discovered morphine and heroin, which suppresses coughing at its source, the brain. Why is this sentence written with such perfect comedic timing? In 1713...
Wait, I'm gonna have to read it again then.
Why is this sentence morphine and heroin, which suppresses coughing at its source, the brain? Why is this sentence written with such perfect comedic timing? In 1713, prisoners in Paris were offered freedom on the condition they would marry a woman who sells themselves for money and move to Louisiana.
Hey, that's just how it was. Everybody just thinks of Britain, being like the penal colony country, right? Establishing Australia. But that was a thing in a lot of cultures, actually. Getting rid of your undesirables by sending into a place that you want to colonize. It was seen as like a win-win situation.
The spread of the Black Plague. Poland, tell us your secret. Poland is the alt-new Madagascar.
Don't trade. Western Europe trade a lot more. The major trade routes were in Central Western Europe there. So there you go. And Silk Road trade basically ends in the Black Sea. So good job, Poland. You just got to isolate yourself.
Jobs in the pre-Cambrian.
And by the way, the area should be way bigger than just Poland was in that. A lot of Northern Europe as well in the colder climates and Eastern Europe. But Central, Western Europe, Southern Europe. I already got jobs in the pre-Cambrian. Sweet.
Cambrian period. Ocean floor nutrient absorber. Sessile filter feeder. Trilaterally symmetrical suspension
They're all
feeder.
jacked.
Jobs now. Spiky bug. Worm. And that thing. The entire British Museum is an active crime
It's
scene.
true.
America
Everything's
after nuking
stolen.
Hiroshima.
Hey, I've posted this on my YouTube community page. By the way, be sure to check that out from time to time. I do polls, for videos, but also just if an interesting question comes to my mind, I'll ask you guys. And one of the questions I did, it's probably been a few months now, was should the British be required to give back artifacts to the countries where those artifacts were taken from if those countries are requesting to have them back? What do you think about that? Let me know down below. All right, America, after nuking Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
I'm so sorry, Japan. We did what we had to do. Please forgive us. Japan, who planned on spreading the bubonic plague to San Francisco weeks later.
They did experiment
apology accepted.
They experimented with some weird stuff, especially on the Chinese people. The Chinese people, unfortunately, were part of that. So Germans did that as well. But a lot of people forget the biological warfare and all the weird testing, eugenics crap that the Japanese were doing too.
We outnumber you 100 to 1. You have to surrender. 100 to 1.
Hussars.
I like those odds. Apparently, death by shovel was a thing in medieval times. Ring around the rosies, a pocket full of posies. Ashes, ashes. 1/3 of the European population gets obliterated by the Black Death.
So I had heard that nursery rhyme somehow is related to the Black Death. It can't be that old, but I had wondered about that. Ring around the rosy, because you got the swells around you. Pocket full of, posies. They would put different types of flowers or scented things to try to ward off those things. Ashes, because they're going to die. So is that actually true? I got to look more in the origin story of the Ring Around the Rosie nurse shrine. But if you ever hear it again, just remember how dark it actually is.
Just a reminder that northern Italy is historical Gaelic lands as well. The Romans should not only leave Gaul, but go back to southern Italy.
So the thing is, though, like Gaelic and stuff, that's such a broad term. Like, it's such a huge umbrella term, but yeah.
Julius Caesar, you have 1 year. 2005 was a simpler time. Her name is Denise. Pythagoras the vegetarian did not only abstain from meat, he didn't eat beans either. This was because he believed that humans and beans were spawned from the same source. Life back then must have been crazy. People just thought whatever. If you're driving a Tesla and it gets stolen, it is now an Edison. This is peak physics joke. I'm still laughing.
I agree. Hopefully you don't ever have yours, stolen or ever steal somebody's Tesla. But I support that forever onward after that, on the title, it just needs to have a scratched out Tesla name and then Edison. And then like a Edison big brain meme, or I don't know, something meme
Queen,
like.
Come to bed. King. Not until I have a name for my soldiers. K. Knight. Babe, you're a genius. Rome. The USSR. Teenage boys picking what dead nation they will be obsessed with.
It's true. It's like, these are like the two groups I see in my online communities. It's like, you are one or the other, or at least you were. At some point you made this decision here. Now, here's my question for you guys. Have you ever been both? Is this actually, can this be a linear pattern, or is it totally split up? And then you go from Rome. People never leave the Rome thing. The Soviet Union thing people will eventually leave from if they start hearing the USSR propaganda. But I feel like once you enter the Rome thing, I don't know if you ever leave it.
World War II French war plan meeting. Kowalski. Options. A strategic retreat. Skipper. Explain. It's like running away, but manlier, where the Great War begins and ends.
I actually showed that image in the classes.
But manlier, where the
and of course, what everyone will say is, why do they just go around it? I'm like, what are you going to do? Put a whole army and go like thousands of miles long just to go around it when you could easily just like climb over it with things or bribe your way through it. It actually wasn't that hard to get through the Great Wall.
Great Wall begins and ends. Lighted balloons marking the outline of where the Berlin Wall stood. In September 1545, lighted balloons marking the outline of where the Berlin Wall.
That's actually really cool. Where did that come from? Did they do like an anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall?
In September 1545, he asked for and got letters authorizing him to annoy the king's enemies. In fact, he annoyed them and everyone else so much that the Admiral Court had to lock him in a prison temporarily to prevent an international outcry. Sometimes I feel sad, but then I remember Isaac Newton's hair. He may have discovered gravity, but that luxurious flowing mane sure hasn't, son.
Sorry to burst the bubble. All of those painting stuff in the era was fake hair. It didn't actually look like that. All right, what does this got? What do we got here?
When you grow up, people stop asking you what your favorite medieval blunt weapon is. They don't even care. Spiked Club creates imperial.
Most of these would actually end up being bad. One thing you got to be able to do if you're going to be, fighting somebody here, is to be able to remove your weapon. And some of these, if you look at them, like a spiked club or like maybe even this mace, that maul thing, that's just not efficient. I mean, it's very cool, but yeah, like the Morning Star, flail, some of those things are going to get stuck in the enemy. And if you're in like a big fight with a bunch of people, you're going to have that thing stuck. And while you're trying to get it unstuck, somebody's going to come and mess you up. So a lot of those weren't as good. And yeah, a lot of those probably like a Warhammer, like, how are you going to fight with that with somebody that's mobile?
Asking you what your favorite medieval weapon is. They don't even care. Spiked Club creates imperial system, forces colonies to use it, switches to metric, makes fun of America for using imperial.
Exactly. That's what I keep telling people. Same thing with the word soccer. It's like, that's what the British told us the name was and what they called it. And then they switched it up to football because every other country was like, oh, this makes way more sense. Let's just call it football. And they make fun of us. It's like, stop telling us stuff and then changing it. We don't like change.
Imagine if they took the Statue of Liberty down and found loads of skeletons inside, and it turned out the French had just failed a Trojan mission.
That's awesome. That's actually awesome. What an idea. Whoever wrote this. The Statue of Liberty was actually a Trojan horse, but they all died on the journey. That's fantastic. All right. I love to end on a really good one. So we'll check this out. I'll be doing another video covering the rest of these. So if you want to see these memes before I check them out, again, the link is down below. And we'll check out some more in some further meme episodes. All right. With that, y'all, we'll see you next time.